What up, everybody? Welcome to the IAG Thursday Thing. This thing we do every Thursday, even if we're a little bit late. But we do this every Thursday where we all hop in Discord live and record a podcast and then upload it to the world. And we have a pretty good time with it. We've actually been doing this 50 times. This is our 50th episode. I'm still like, I can't even believe that. 50 times. Warranty, who is my partner in crime, has joined us on almost all 50 of these episodes. We've high and low, thick and thin. We've even had some lost episodes together. And Warranty's been through it all. He's here with me today. What up, Warranty? How you doing?
Hello, sir. I was on a boat. I did the Chicago architecture tour, and now I'm sitting in the very pretty Apple store on Michigan Avenue.
Downtown, lovely Chicago. All right.
Sweet home Chicago.
Out in the chat, we got producer Jordan. Producer Jordan's doing the background stuff as usual. Man, I don't know how we do it without him. He takes care of a lot of the technical stuff on the background. He's also kind of the czar of our Discord, and we've got some other things that we're going to be messing with in the not too distant future. We'll probably chat a little bit about that too. And then also Randy has been making all our thumbnails for us, and I think this week's looks really good personally, but he's been making all our thumbnails for us, and he's been helping me chase people down to be on the podcast and coming up with podcast ideas and stuff. So hats off to Randy too. So that's kind of the podcast team from IAG, and that's us. That is the IAG Thursday thing. So Warranty.
Yes, sir.
We've done 50 episodes, my dude. 50.
I'm shocked, and they've gone over better than good. We've had lots of good feedback from high and low, high being corporate, low being friends of yours and mine, but it's universal acclaim.
Did you just call our friends low?
It's good to have friends in low places. I listen to country music too, sometimes.
We have a great community. It has been... The reception of this podcast has been killer. Like, don't get me wrong, we're not turning giant numbers. We absolutely are not. But the people we are talking to are passionate about this. We really feel the vibe when we go to some of these events and people are coming up going, "Oh man, I listened to that podcast," and they're bringing up obscure stuff. And it's so good. It's so good.
Graham just said he's tuning a very nice race car because this guy heard the podcast and then sent the car across the country to get it tuned by Graham. Like, that's really cool.
That's sick. You know what I mean? I love that because they, the contact was made due to the podcast. And they learned some things, heard some information they like, and they're like, "Yep, I dig it." And the connections were made and everybody's making magic now. I love it. Okay? I absolutely love it, and I want to do I love that part of this. Okay, that people are meeting people, and cool stuff is happening, and people are learning things, but we're all hanging out. The community aspect of this is the biggest factor to me. We're supposed to be having fun, but we also learn some stuff, and I think we've done a very good job of maintaining the parking lot meet vibe that I really wanted this podcast to have. I really want this to feel like you're hanging out at a weekly Subaru meet, and this is the weekly talk that we're having. And maybe the name of this changes down the road. I don't know. But as it sits right now, the vibe of this has been awesome. And the Thursday thing, the kind of weekly meet that we have, it's fantastic. And
sure is. We'll be here for another 50 more. I can feel it. Maybe even more than that.
Yeah. It's sick. I love it. I hope we can. I hope we're good for another 50. I think we're setting up really well. We'll talk about some of the numbers and some interesting things that I'm pulling out of the data of this. But I'm super stoked to I can't wait to do more. I couldn't believe 50 went by that fast. That's why I kind of like as you get older, and this is gonna sound, here's some dad advice, but you guys are gonna get it. You learn to take time to just take a step back every once in a while and assess where you are at that point. It's real hard to do when you're younger because it's hard for you to look at what you've accomplished versus where you're trying to go. When you get a little older, you start looking back and really assessing what you've done. You know, the way I like to put that is, would 19-year-old me be proud? You know, and I think 19-year-old me would be very proud of the 50 episodes that we've done.
Yeah. It's a great benchmark. You know, keep asking yourself, what I think of this at 16, 20, you know, hell, even 30 in some cases. What would you think? And yep, I feel the same way. Pretty happy about it.
I would have blown through 50 if I didn't realize, I'm like, holy crap, this is 50. You know what? We need to take a breather and talk about 50. That's and the other thing too is I keep getting asked, hey, what episodes should I listen to? And I pulled out some of my favorite episodes that I think other people should listen to. And those aren't necessarily the most listened to ones, but they're definitely some of my favorites. And there's also an honorable mention in there too, because it warms my heart. Actually, that's technically 2 episodes, but yeah. So I mean, let's kind of have a quick conversation about like one statistic that just blew my mind that I saw go back through on the chat. Producer Jordan just said he has over 500 gigs of recording on just these episodes.
That's amazing.
That's half a terabyte, my dude.
Yep. That's cool.
Of just audio.
Must be saving it in what, wave? So uncompressed or flat?
I don't know.
But,
some of this also. Let's be real. We go a little over time. We're pretty bad.
Oh yeah. All right, so we're starting off with just reminiscing about our favorite episodes up to this point, and then maybe reminiscing about our favorite stories outside of the chat, outside of the podcast.
Yeah, that, and I there's some fun analytics stuff that I found really interesting. All right, like what our most listened to episodes are. You know, some of like who our audience are and where they're listening from. I think these are fun. So
yeah, let's start with that one.
Let's start with our most listened to episode to date. To date is episode 22, which is DCCD, and this is been far and above our most listened to episode. I'm not going to get into exact numbers, but this held the record by a long shot for a very long time. We're talking almost 25% over anything else. Some of that, I think, it was a real easy, it resonated with a lot of people because a lot of people don't understand how DCCD works. And it explains it really well. So I think it also got shared a lot too. That was a great episode. That's a topic I talk about quite a bit. Because so many people have no idea how DCCD works, or they think they know, and then when you tell them, it blows their mind. Yeah, so that was a huge one. Number 2, and closing very fast, they're within about 10% of the DCCD episode now, is one we did very recently, episode 47, that's the 3 tuners, where we had all 3, we had Graham, Sam, and Mike all on talking about which tuning platforms, which tuning options you have for a modern Subaru, and what their thoughts are, all the way down to a manual boost controller or an SAFC2, all the way up to a Bosch Motorsports ECU, and everything in between. What they like, what they don't, and why. If you have not listened to that episode, it's phenomenal. And I have to be real. Like it's going to be pretty obvious. That is my favorite episode.
You
It
know,
was
I haven't listened to it yet. Have to. I would love to nerd out on what's your favorite, second favorite, third favorite, and what is running on a Game Boy and it's your least favorite.
Oh my god, dude! I'm telling you, we just ran down the list, and it's so good. It's so good. There's a ton of different tuning options in there that a lot of people I don't even think realize existed. We talk about UTEX in there. We talk about all sorts of stuff. So it's really good. It's long. Sam gets a bit wordy. And I had some issues moderating Sam time, but it was really good.
We'll have that on those big jobs.
You'll have that on those big jobs, as Dylan would say.
So that's number 2. What's your third favorite?
No.
Most popular. Okay.
So the third most popular is the transmission chat with Johnny Trans. So these
Really?
I'm going down in order. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And that held that that was episode 31, and that held second place for a very long time.
Is Johnny Trans in here? I don't see him in the chat right now.
He used to be in here like every week, but yeah, still like third most popular episode. And that was a really good conversation. I'm very surprised that like our first and third are transmission based. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
then,
it's not a weak point for Subarus, but there's some tech in there that's important to know.
I agree. It's really, really good. There are a lot of good conversation on which gearing makes the most sense. We go over some Uncle Scotty's cocktail conversations, all sorts of stuff. It was really good. And again, these are the most listened to. This isn't necessarily my favorites. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
And then we'll go just to the fifth one. The fifth one is D-strokers. Do they make sense for you? Answering your questions, which I think picked a bunch up lately. That was episode 30. So that was a while ago.
Mm.
And since we just recently released the D-strokers on the website, this picked up a little bit. Yeah. So
that's number 5. So what about number 4?
Number 4 was, sorry, I skipped it. Number 4 was the advanced engine management conversation with Graham, episode 16.
That was all the Turbo Smart and the electronic wastegates and all of that.
This was having a conversation of what crazy shit you can do with really advanced engine management. The stuff you can't do with a Cobb. The stuff that takes, a Link, a Heltec, an M-Tron, a Motec, why you would want these things. And it got pretty deep, and it was really good. And a lot of people listened to that. So
if that's the episode I'm thinking of with electronic wastegates, electronic blow-off valves, all the Turbo Smart goodies, that's my favorite. I'm going to jump out and say it right now. That's some cool bleeding edge stuff. And
there was a lot of
so animated talking about it.
He was really excited, and it worked out. That episode is really good, and it will blow your mind, some of the stuff you can do, or some of the stuff we're just attempting to do on Boogie now. It's really wild. So one of the things I want to do is actually what we should do is I want to do our top 5s. Okay. We're going to do our top 5s. We're going to do that now. And then we'll talk about analytics.
Go for it.
Okay. Tied for 5th. I could not make a decision between these two. Okay. And you know what? No, fuck that. Those are both going to the honorable mention. Tied for 5th now is both Smedia episodes. Both of them. I'm tying them together because I love him. The Dangers of Doing It Different was episode 30, and that's our 6th most listened to episode. But what was it called? The worst bad idea, the best worst idea, or the worst I don't remember what the hell we actually called it. Because we were trying to figure out what it was. But the other one we did was Media, which is literally one of the worst ideas I've ever heard, and he's going through with it still. Both of these were great. And basically it was a conversation about what happens when you take the unbeaten path and the dangers that are involved with that. by no means am I telling people not to do crazy, interesting things with Subarus, but there's consequences to it, and it was really good. Both of those episodes are phenomenal. If you wanna find out the pitfalls of doing an H6 build, a lot of conversation went into that. And then having a conversation of the pit or what he's trying to do now, which is literally run a reverse but that really went into in depth on the pitfalls of doing stuff crazy. H6 builds, reversing the entire drivetrain in a Subaru, all sorts of stuff. Both of those episodes phenomenal. Number 4 is the advanced engine management with Graham. That was such a great episode. It was so good.
Only number 4. Okay.
Yep. So again, we got 50 episodes, so rating that in the top 5 is really saying something. Okay. Number 3 is one of my favorite stupid episodes, and it is one of the dumber episodes we've done, but I really like it. Is You Aren't Alone, which is why people like us have problems at Christmas parties. I don't even know if you remember this one. It was such a good episode. I remember it. It's such a good episode. Yeah, it's a ridiculously good episode. If you've ever watched it, it goes more into the mental state of car people and why we're all kind of broken. And it's maybe not exactly a Subaru thing, but I think Subaru enthusiasts will really understand that. It's pretty good.
Gosh, I barely remember it. Okay, what's number 2?
Number 2, the DCCD episode. And the biggest reason I like that episode is it genuinely helped a lot of people. I've got so much feedback from that episode of I had no idea, or I've completely changed the way I approach DCCD, or I shared this to like a bunch of my buddies and it turned into a giant conversation. And like the reason I like it is it stoked so much conversation because there's so much misinformation out there about how it works. It's ungodly simple, and that's a good thing. If you have not listened to that and you have ever had any questions to how DCCD works, you should listen to that. It's fantastic. And then number 1, I've already said it, was the 3 Tuners episode. It was just, how can you not love that episode? It was so good. And yeah, I cannot believe you haven't listened to it yet. It's going to blow your mind.
I was really busy. I don't even remember what I was doing. Something work related. I will totally sit down one of these days on a long drive out to the suburbs to visit my mom, and I will listen to it.
It's really good. You really should listen to it.
So let's see if I could come up with my top 5 favorites, because I did not prepare a list prior to recording. So number 1, I already said, was advanced engine management with Graham, because he was just so enthusiastic about this brand new tech. And
yes,
that rubs off on me because I'm a nerd as well. I'm not a tuner. Kind of wish I was. I love me some spreadsheets and tables, but yeah, that was my favorite episode by far. We got some really good feedback out of it too. So it's the best part. Number 2 for favorites, I think from here, I don't remember. I really liked the episode with Smedia, the best worst idea, because I came into that just hating the idea and then resigning myself to this is a great bad idea. So he had all of his receipts on why am I doing it this way, and I respect that. So I'm going to give that an honorary number 2. Smedia. Number 3, DCCD, just because I think it's a really cool feature of Subarus, especially the STI platform. And it took a while to learn it, and took a lot of research, you and I and everybody on our side of the world, years ago, to figure out what is Subaru trying to tell us? What does this thing actually do? So, yep, that's a good one. And yeah, what separates STIs from WRXs? So seeing that on track was such a cool feeling. So yeah, definitely number 3 is DCCD. Number 4, I would say, with the Flatirons tuning guy whose name escapes me, and it makes me really mad. Just
John Cooley.
John Cooley.
Very cool. Super great guy. Super great guy. That was a fun one. And he was trying to dispel something that the biggest reason he wanted to come on is he thought that I was saying that there was maybe a little bit of drama involved that he wanted to clear up, but him and I, it's really funny how much we think alike, yet we come from it at two drastically different angles, to the point where he has one of my episode ideas. He's doing it today. Like, I think they just dropped it.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, damn it, man, I don't want to copy you.
Nice. So, yep, those guys. Flatirons has done a lot of like videos over the years, and now they're doing a podcast. I don't listen to them enough, but when I do, I'm always coming away satisfied that it's solid, nerd level information that you can't really get anywhere else. No, I think you and I are a little more of a social podcast. We do get into the nerdy stuff, but we go up and down and everywhere. I think John Cooley goes straight to just, this is what you need to know. And I really respect that. So what was that? Number 4, I said? Or was that number 3? No, number 4. Number 3 is DCC.
Yep.
Number 5, I don't have a good answer for this, so I'm going to pick Mr. Conk from Rally Sport Direct, because I cannot
episode.
I can't believe I knew of this guy, but then hearing all these stories, it just dawned on me how much of an OG he was that I just didn't ever give credit for.
And I'm so happy we got to do that episode, because he so rates that, you know what I mean? And I don't think he's got enough. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he did within our community. So yeah, that's episode 44. That's fairly recent, but if you haven't listened to that, people do not get how influential Rick Conk was on a ton of us. He might even be in the chat right now, but
he was just a guy. It was just a guy working at a job and making videos.
He's just a dude, but man, huge. Yeah, huge.
His impact was a meteor on the dinosaurs.
Yes. Completely changed how a lot of information was gained in a very short period of time, just due to him coming up with a couple of very small bad ideas. So
yep. So
I think another person I want to have on here in the not too distant future who's in this chat, I want to have Adam Wood on here.
Adam Wood. Now tell me about Adam Wood.
He's in our chat right now, but I'll explain Adam Wood. Adam Wood does GLTC with a GC. And
was this the guy we met at Laguna?
Yeah. I drove his car at Laguna.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I want to have Adam Wood, because he's been doing a ton better this year, and the advantages and disadvantages of trying to make a road race car versus a time attack car or a drag car or something like that is basically something he has to do a lot of laps with a an EJ, an all-wheel drive Subaru, because there's a lot to it. I think it'd be fun. So
it's a great idea.
I think having Adam on here in the not too distant future would be a good time too. So I need to add that to my list.
So I'm gonna go look at IAG Thursday Thing. I'm gonna go back in time and see what other videos. Podcasts.
I have a couple of honorable mentions that definitely got to get thrown out there.
Go for it.
Episode 19 was Fortunato. We had old boy from Fortunato on here.
Oh man,
huge amount
of text. I should have said that one. That was so good.
It was really, really good, and a long conversation just about shocks. This wasn't a Fortunato episode. This was things you need to think about when you're taking into account shocks and how things work. Zach from Fortunato is not a sales guy. He wasn't here really to represent Fortunato other than the fact that he works there. Zach's an engineer. And it was really good. We got a lot more information out of that one than I ever thought we would.
Yeah.
And then I got another honorable mention. Preston from EBC, when we did the breaks. That was a really good one too. There are a lot of really good info in a really small period of time.
Scrolling down the list, I can't believe that I missed this one. Mike McGinnis with Innovative Tuning.
It was great.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't pick that because a lot of what he talked about ended up coming in we had a lot of it came in that Three Tuners episode. But
okay.
every time we have Mike or Graham on, they're bangers. They're incredible banger episodes. Like everybody walks away learning something. It's great.
Talking about the new BRZ carb certified competence. Oh my god, I would have put that at probably number 2. Damn it! All right, media, you got away with murder this time.
Yeah, that's funny. We got some guys in the chat. Now what's interesting is what other people's favorite episodes are. So this week, what I really would like in the comments is you don't got to do a top 5, but maybe your top 3, even your top 1. I want to know what your favorite episodes or even types of episodes are. Please put them in the comments. Okay. The people who are listening in Discord right now, if I don't have at least 26 comments, I'm going to be pissed. Okay. So in the comments for the podcast, on Spotify, I want some comments. Okay. That's your homework. Even if you're only putting just a real quick little blurb, just click on the link. It should be up tomorrow, hopefully, and give me a comment. I want to know. And if you're listening to this later on, I want some comments. Okay. I want to know what your favorite episodes were, at least the type of episode you like the most. Because we have like Connor in our chat right now. He's like, breaks of the EBC, the championship one. John Cooley was a really good one. Ask Dewey's are good. The Three Tuners, Johnny Trans, and most of the ones catching up after an event. I know a lot of people like hearing like the event recaps, and event recaps are always great. I love doing those, and more like news event recap, kind of have just a catch up on what the situation is, and you're always going to get that here. But I really like to hear what you guys are really into. There'll always be Grid Life event, Time Attack recaps, because honestly, I got a vent somewhere, so I might as well vent here. So yeah, no. So one thing I'm notorious for is going ungodly overtime. We are terrible about it. So I'm heading over to episodes. We're not going to do that today? Oh, we're definitely going to do that today.
I might have to drop because I have to help my neighbor that you introduced me to fix the battery in her car.
We talked about that a little earlier before we quit and came back. I hope that goes swimmingly.
Yeah, me too.
So
seems like a nice lady.
One thing that has really impressed me, okay, is if you watch a YouTube video and you look at the analytics of it, a lot of people watch for like the first couple of minutes and then it drastically dies off. You still get a view for it, you know what I mean? But they'll watch for like 2 minutes and then it'll go to like 20% retention rate. This happens, if you look at most analytics, it's like that. So what really blew my mind is going through and looking at some of our audience retention rate. Again, most of the time it's like 20% after the first couple of minutes. We hold over 60 for entire like 3-hour shows.
That's pretty amazing.
It's insane. We hold 80% for like the first 15 minutes, which I know seems like a bunch of people are diving out. But what that means is people are actually listening to this. A lot of times I bet you people listen for 20 minutes and then come back and listen and come, they're doing it in squirts. Which is, I get it. That makes sense. And you can kind of see that because audience retention rate actually goes up in some situations. One of the interesting ones was Three Tuners, which was our longest episode to date by a long time. That did go 3 hours. Hold on. I'm getting over there to that right now. I knew this one was going to be long. Okay. And we still held over 60 for an hour and a half, and people kept coming back. Most of the meat was in the beginning, and then it got a little wordy near the end, especially when we were starting to get into stuff that it wasn't really relatable to a lot of people. But we still held over 50%, at 2 hours and 46 minutes.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And then we had a bunch of jumps throughout where I think people were skipping to find a section that was pertaining to them, which totally makes sense. That we would jump to 65, 70% for like another like 30 minutes. And I'm assuming the areas that we're in, people were really interested in the conversation between Haltech and Link. And there was like a pretty big spike in audience like retention in that area, which was really wild.
That could also be people sending the podcast to their friends and saying, hey, start listening at the 2-hour mark.
By all means. This was also the only episode that I've went through and said, at this point, if you want to listen about Haltech, it's right here. If you want to listen about, reflash options, here. If you want to talk about Bosch Motorsports ECUs, here. You know what I mean? And I have that in the description, so you can kind of... It's the first time I did that because, this was a 2-hour and 46-minute podcast. So it was crazy long. And I just, that blew my mind. So what that means, people are actually listening to these. Unlike...
And good that you put that in the description.
They're not eating this just for basic content. You know what I mean? Like, it's not doom scrolling. These are people... That's why, like, our numbers aren't huge by any means, okay? It's just to give you an idea, I'm going to throw this out here. For our 50th episode, we can revisit this at 100, okay? We 2 days ago, we hit 455 followers on Spotify, okay? So, that's not like crazy numbers, but they keep getting listened to. Like, that is just the people who are, like, basically subscribed. And that's awesome. That is so awesome. That, we might only have 450 people listening, but that's a 450 of those people are very attentive to what we are talking about. So, Yep.
Solid numbers. Solid numbers for 2 guys and a Discord chat and a producer in Ohio.
just some dudes chatting about some bullshit that they like. And it's not bad for a parking lot meet hangout. I think it's pretty great. I don't think this is ever going to turn big numbers, and I'm never going to try to make it turn big numbers. I'm more worried about those 450 followers getting good information than anything. And that's what matters to me. If I'll keep making this for that, if we never get another follower, that's okay. I want to make sure that this is getting to people where I feel like we're actually moving the needle a little bit. The biggest issue that I've had with the current Subaru community is there's very few places to get good information.
Yeah, and there's a lot of bad information, especially on Reddit and Facebook. What oil should I use? Oh my gosh.
So much noise, there's just horrific amounts of shit information out there. People, recommending dumb shit because they've seen other people do it on Instagram. And if anything, if we can just be a voice of reason within that, great. If that's the only mission we accomplish, awesome. I hope you had fun on the way. But, every week we have new people in the Discord, and every week I have somebody new send me something that they heard from a podcast on, like, episode, 10. Like, hey, man, you were talking about this. Can you chat more about it? I love that. If you guys ever want to hit me up, if you're not friends with me on Facebook, you want to email, if you're OG like that, feel free, Dewey at IAGperformance.com. That's DEWEY at IAGperformance.com. Feel free, hit me up, and we can chat about whatever. And I love it. So, it's phenomenal.
Got it.
I'm so stoked, man. I'm so stoked. So what I want to do is I think we should have a quick little conversation between you and I. Because we kind of went over the podcast stuff. there's some things that have not been. We haven't talked about maybe some of the OG memories, how you and I met, where how you got into Subarus. A lot of this. Like, I don't think we've talked about any of it. I don't know if anybody even knows how I got into Subarus. But I know
Nice.
you wanted to do a little walk down memory lane. So I think
Yeah,
this is a good way to do it. So I'm gonna ask you a question. Warranty.
sure.
How did you get into Subarus and how did you get, well, I think we've went over how you got the name Warranty a few times, but how did Andrew Mahalski get into Subarus and, how did you end up gaining the name Warranty?
Yeah, so I had Gran Turismo on PlayStation 3, I want to say. And it was, or no, I think I started with PlayStation 2. That's how far back we went. So Gran Turismo 3, and the rest is history. It was so cool to see those Subaru rally cars ripping around. You could buy the car, modify it to go even faster. It was a nice car to get through the game. So between playing Gran Turismo and beating the game mostly on a Subaru, I feel like, plus watching the X Games, Colin McRae, Travis Pastrana just doing really cool stuff on what are now just basic 300 horsepower rally cars. That's what got me hooked. Is it was just so cool to see those guys on television and then drive the car in the video game. It was so much fun. Core memory for me for sure. And then my first Subaru was the 2015 STI. I was lucky enough that that was the first car that I bought new. So after prior to that, it was just hand me downs and boring cars. But right after that, I had a friend say, "Dude, you got to meet Dewey." I lived in the same town as him, and I went to a Sonic meet. I want to say, and
Yeah, it was.
the the
You
rest,
you came to one of our original Algonquin Subaru Club Sonic meets. And that's
yeah,
the first time I met you, and I'm like,
yep.
this dude is freaking me out. He's
It's
taller
too
than me.
tall. Yep. So you stood on a curb and said, "Oh man, this is so much better. I could talk down to you now." So that's how you and I met. And that was back in 2015. So then,
Didn't
how
you
did I get
once
the?
say you used to see us like in high, because it was a while ago, and then not too long before that we've been running that club for a very long time, that you'd see us tearing up and down Randall, which is like the main stretch in Algonquin.
Yeah, so I grew up in Algonquin, and I was very close to Randall Road, which is the main drag north south in that town. And Subarus and the Rumble have a really unique sound, and I would hear these cars just ripping across the horizon, and thinking, "Who are these people driving these cool cars?" And then years later, I met them, and then the rest is history. You and I went to SEMA. You and I went all over the country going racing. Memories on Tail of the Dragon, and drifting up on ramps on the highway. Just it is fast and furious in real life. So really cool stuff.
We've had some memories, man. We've done some shit. What is your, I guess, favorite? This is real broad. What's your favorite Subaru community memory? So that encompasses everything, racing, whatever. What do you think your favorite?
My favorite memory is also my least favorite, which is we had somebody who I won't name that put on a 2-day event and then disappeared and stuck us with the bill. It was drag racing, I think, on the Saturday, and then circuit
Oh,
racing at Audubon Country Club on the Sunday. And he disappeared, and
what a
the cl-
shithead!
the
I'm
club the club owed multiple thousands of dollars to the tracks because they have minimums, and we have to have ticket sales and all this stuff. So he left. He just disappeared, just ghosted off the face of the earth, and the rest of us jumped in to run the club and try. Well, the original plan wasn't even to pay back the debt; it was just to keep the community stable.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do an event the following year, but we didn't have any money, and B, I think we all thought it was right to pay back the money that we owed. I want to say it added up to about $4,000. So we
Something like that.
started,
It wasn't a crazy amount of money, but if it first off, it's a bunch of broke kids with frickin' rat box Subarus,
right,
and it's that's 5 grand it isn't just laying around. That's
right,
not just pocket change for most people.
right. So it was 2 grand, I think, owed to the drag strip, and another 2 grand or so owed to Audubon Country Club, the racetrack. So we sold T-shirts and just slow. It was all volunteer work, and we all worked way too much. We all had day jobs, and so we were doing that during the day, doing car meets in the evening, and just making it work through just hustling and grinding to sell T-shirts. And eventually came time to run the event for the following year. We got a lot of sponsors from the various shops in the area. I think we
Yep.
had a couple of corporate sponsors too that really helped out. We had, oh gosh, I want to say Berman Subaru of Chicago gave us like over $1,000, which was so huge. So shout outs to Joey DeAndrea for that. That was so
That was
critical.
yeah. They were sick back in the day. Joey
Hmm.
doesn't even work there anymore, does he?
No, I think he's taking a sabbatical and raising his kids. Last I
Man,
checked, I really got
yeah.
to see. He's one of my
Joey
favorite people.
Joey was one of the best community dudes.
Yep.
Yep, I agree.
Everybody hates car dealers until let me tell you, until you go to a good car dealer and talk to people who actually know what they're doing, it's great. And this guy was
Or
an
or give a shit.
enthusiast as they
Yep.
come. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So the icing on the cake for this whole memory, because I've been telling you all these details. My favorite memory is going to that drag strip, Great Lakes Drag Away, and handing the envelope to the owner. And he did not count the money because he knew it was all going to be there. So that was a really good feeling.
Yeah. That would have been a good one.
So
Man.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was
that was
something.
yep. Yeah, the one thing I can say is the Chicago Subaru community had a whole lot of ups and downs. But when it the ugliness got purged, it was really good. And I wish I could copy and paste exactly what was going on at that time into a bunch of different communities around the country. Like people really should have that conversation. You know, you guys basically kind of ran stuff as a committee and it worked out really well. And a
Yeah,
lot of heads butted but it was good. That was that
yeah.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I was working really hard at my job. I was doing all the car stuff, and then racing with you was separate. Helping you build the race
Yeah.
cars. It was like working 2 part-time jobs in addition to my day job. I don't know how I got it all done, but I did. I did pretty well in my career, all things considered. So yeah. Oh man, it was a great time. It all came to a screeching halt due to COVID, but by that point we were pretty burned out. So it was the right time for a changing of the guard.
I hear you. Yeah, you guys were killing it there. I don't know. What is my favorite community memory? I'm gonna have a very hard time not saying that year we went down to Scuba Palooza, um, and then went street racing at night. It was one of the dumber things that we did, but
I don't
it
think I
was
went to that one. I've never been street racing with you. I've
just
only
don't.
heard about it.
Just don't. And I wouldn't do it anymore
Oh
because
yeah,
like it's gotten worse and worse and worse. But that
yeah.
was
We're
we
way too
we went
old now. Like it would
we
just be a bunch of dudes at a high school party, and it's just like that's not okay.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't too far off of that when we were there at that time anyway. But yeah, we really didn't even get to do any real street racing. We had one kind of race where the dude got just blown completely out of the water, and then nobody wanted to race anymore. Um,
Yeah,
so
you told
long
me about
story
that one.
short,
Yeah.
it was. I gotta tell this story. I don't care if it's good or not. Like I don't. So we go to this big event in St. Louis called Scuba Palooza. And it actually was starting to take off. It was a privately ran event. It was a lot of fun. But at that time, a bunch of us were into drag racing and big power street cars and stuff. And I had recently just got the car I called Warthog together, which is basically a pile of leftover parts from a couple of older cars of mine and some random shit we had around Six Star and some like used shit I picked up for nothing. But the car made probably about 475 wheel. But the GC that I had it in, was as basic as they come. And the thing weighed maybe 2,600 pounds. So it was pretty quick. The car was not slow. If you guys want to see that car, Tim Herr now owns that car and just got it back together, and he's having a riot with it. But either way, we decided to bring a bunch of our fast cars from the Chicago area down to Scuba-Palooza. Our idea was we're going to bring as many Chicago cars as we can so we can outnumber even the St. Louis guys. And I think we pulled it off. And so we had a great time, did some autocross, and honestly, it was fun. But somebody was like, hey, I found this room, this Facebook group talking about street racing down on, I think it was called Hall Street. And, they already started talking shit in there that we got a bunch of fast Subarus that are going to come out tonight. And they're all like, oh yeah, bring your shit. We've got a bunch of stuff that can race it. We ain't worried about your whatever. So we took like 5 of our fastest guys. It was like me, John Locke, who had a built GC.
John Locke.
We had I think Brian Ray was with us. He had like a 600 some horsepower STI. We had I was the lowest horsepower car there. I know that. At like 450, 475 wheel. And we had like 6 or 7 of us. I think Gangster was with us. In fact, I'm almost positive Gangster was with us.
Nice. That car was not slow.
That car was nuts. That was the one that cut a 1/260 foot on radials. Okay.
Yep.
So, we go down to Hall Street, and like we pull into this parking lot, and it's a bunch of like these guys are talking so much shit, and it's like 3 SRT4s, like a Honda with like an eBay turbo kit and some other shit. So we hop out of the car, and we're like, hey, so is this the thing? We're like, oh yeah. We got like fast guys coming later, and like we got some dude with a really fast it was like a Pontiac G8 or something, and like a Camaro and this and the other thing, and a bunch of fast guys. They're coming, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And we're hanging out for like, I don't know, hour and a half, and they're checking out our cars, like losing their shit over it, and we're looking at a bunch of bolt-on SRT4s, and somebody's like, well, are we gonna race or what? And I don't even remember. I think it was like a G35 was what we decided. I was going to go first because I was the lowest horsepower car. Okay. And this guy, I don't remember what the first car was, but I swear to God, it was like a G35 or something. No, it was a Pontiac G8. And this guy had he had like a Trans Am. It was a Pontiac it was a Pontiac G8. It had a bunch of work done to it. These guys were so I'm like, all right, let's do this. And I think we put $50 on the race. It was something really stupid. And how they did this was nuts. You go down the road a little ways and you turn around and you race back towards essentially train tracks, straight up Fast and the Furious style. But the train tracks are in like the slowdown area. But I don't think these guys had a problem with that because their cars weren't really fast enough for the slowdown to be a problem. So we go back there, and I'm thinking this G8's going to be pretty quick, so I launch control and everything and leave this dude. I mean, it wasn't even close to the guy. We annihilate. I kill this dude so bad that he doesn't even try to slow the car down. He just pulls in the parking lot. And like their jaws dropped in this parking lot. And this car isn't that fast. I'm telling you, this is like, if I got everything right, it'd run a high 10. Okay. And so I pull back in the parking lot and I hop out of the car like I am just Dom Toretto, okay? Like, just arms up in the air. Where's this Trans Am? Where's this Trans Am? And like, because we had other cars there that would have been quicker. And the guy who owned the Trans Am ended up being the guy that was in the G8. He's like, I gotta be real, man. We got nothing for you here. And I'm like, oh, this is stupid. And I was all pissed off. I'm like, it's all right, whatever. And like, literally as I'm talking to this guy, it's nighttime and we're in this parking lot. It was like somebody turned on the sun. Poof. A freaking police helicopter throws on their spotlight onto us. And I'm like, what the hell? And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to the bridge. We're going to the bridge. And we're like, what are you talking about? They're all diving in their cars and peeling out, like literally like the Fast and the Furious, running down the highway, going and heading over to this bridge. They go hide under the bridge. And you literally, so I'm like, guys, we ain't doing that. So we go the other way. We just pull out of the parking lot nice and slow and head the other way down. And you can literally watch this police helicopter follow them to this bridge. We're like, what in the hell is going on? And so we hang out thinking maybe they're going to change the location. We'll go hang out somewhere else. We didn't have anything else going on. And I was kind of hoping we could get this other car out there. And they call us back. They're like, hey, we're all heading back. Like, to the same spot? Yeah. We're heading back over there. The copter's gone. Okay. So, like, we cruise back, and everybody hops in the parking lot again. We're all hanging out and chilling. We ain't even there 5 minutes. I swear to God. It's spotlight on us again. Same freaking thing. All right, we're going home. So we leave. We had some of the funnest roll racing dumb shit on the way back to that casino that we were all staying at that night that I have ever had in my life. We were all laughing hysterically because nobody there wanted to race. Like, we all had a great time. These were people from all different areas of the community, tuned by a bunch of different people. This wasn't like a small group. We all had such a great time. That's still to this day probably one of my favorite community, like, hangouty kind of things. I'm not putting my Time Attack stuff in that because it's a little less.
It's different.
It's different. Now I am gonna say, especially when I first started out with Time Attack, the community saved my ass on multiple occasions. You are a perfect example of that. We popped that engine at Speedring, and you literally threw an engine in your back seat, drove from Chicago to Detroit that night, so we could put an engine in
my work clothes.
So we could race the next morning.
Toothbrush. Yep.
There was times where people would, pull parts off their car for me to use for the weekend. Like, I had to steal a power steering pump once. Like, crazy stuff. People were just so into, keeping the car out there, but we were showing results, and it was always wanting it to be about the community. And even with Boogie, like, the community was always there to help. Like, at no point am I ever lacking, like, somebody there, especially at the track, to, hey, we need a bunch of guys to help us do this. Like, it's instant. And some of that's the track community, but a lot of it is the Subaru community. And it's super cool because a lot of them see it as Boogie, in some ways, being the poster child for, look what we can do with a Subaru if we really put our minds to it. You know what I mean? And it's one of the biggest reasons that I don't, like, I'm never going to leave this community. It would like, even if they outlawed it, I'm going to find a way to drive Boogie at some point, Yeah.
A lot of help from a lot of people, a lot of hands, and
a lot of hands from
even when people were mad at you.
Even
when people were mad at you, they would help you.
Yes.
It was great. Nobody would ever say no.
There are some people who are pretty grumpy, especially the first season with Boogie. We don't need to get into that, but there was an absurd amount of effort put in that season.
That was 2018. So you got married.
19.
19. No way. Only 1 year before COVID?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I thought it was 18. And so you got married, moved house, had a brain tumor removed, and did you also have a kid?
Yeah. Had a kid.
All that same year? Wow.
And that was going hard for 2 months straight, building Boogie for the first time. That was wild.
It's incredible.
Yep. That was too much happened in 19. 19 was an insane year.
Yeah. And then 20 hit. And then COVID.
Then COVID.
Yep.
Blue hair and all that shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we did that long interview. We did that long interview with your blue hair. I still have it. It's on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. What did
we look back on that sometime?
That was also the year they started recruiting for the TV show. A lot of that stuff happened. A lot of stuff happened in 2020. 2020 and 2021, a lot of stuff happened. Good and bad.
So you've got your memories. That's a solid memory. Scuba Palooza. I really liked those cruises with people. They were big groups. It was like going on vacation with a bunch of your friends.
Yes.
It's something I associate with my 20s because that's when I did it. But I wish that sort of thing existed as people aged into their 30s and beyond because, it's so cool. Like, go on a cruise with a bunch of your friends,
I'm
cruising in your
I'm
car.
hoping I get a little bit of that out of this Tail of the Dragon cruise that I'm going to be doing in a couple of weeks. I
Very
met
nice.
a pretty cool group down here. It's going to be a bunch of BMW, like Porsches and Audis, and I'm going to be there in a BRZ. But
Solid. Do you have like a exhaust for it? Oh yeah, you're putting that exhaust from IAG on it, right?
yeah, we're gonna put that remark on it. Hopefully, in fact, I got to make sure Dylan gets that into the trailer because we'll see how things go. I might even Sunday install the damn exhaust at the track and drive home with that versus we'll see. That might be a
That's a great
thing.
idea.
I'll help you install it if I can do some sessions.
Well, that would be the idea. If I bring that, I'm gonna find a way to get that car onto the track. So
Yeah,
we might have to do an oil change there, but
that's
we'll get
fine.
that car onto the track.
That's
Ain't
easy
nothing but a
stuff.
thing.
Ain't no thing but a chicken wing.
No
Yeah.
problem.
I need to get Dylan. I really want to take Dylan in the passenger seat and Boogie, so he can feel Boogie for what it's worth. And if we're ever gonna have a chance to do it, it's gonna be Sunday at Pit Race.
Yeah.
No,
I
it's
think
not because every time we say this, every listen, we're
It
gonna take that
catches on
back right now.
fire. Okay.
Yeah, no. Every time we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna drive it, or
I'm
you're
beating the
gonna
shit
ride.
out of Wood right now.
Yeah, and then something happens. So I'm not planning on driving the car or riding in the car or doing anything outside of hanging out with you and everyone else at the track and trying to at least win a race.
Yes, we just got to get one in.
so. This
Speaking
reminds me. Sorry, go ahead, Dylan.
Speaking of Boogie, the engine is officially in the car while I've been
Oh
listening to you
shit!
guys. I've been putting the engine in the car.
Oh shit!
So we still have a lot of work ahead of us. It's gonna be another late night, but the engine is back in the car. And so yeah, it's looking
That's
good.
exciting. I'm excited about our new power steering change.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
did you
gonna
jump
be
over to
interesting.
electric power steering?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
No, what we're doing is putting a GD rack in it. To start.
GD pump.
GD pump, sorry.
Okay.
GD pump is going in it to start, but Dylan, so the reason we used an old pump is because the reservoir was on the pump and it made packaging really easy.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
But
So,
Dylan's a packaging wizard, so he got you a better pump
well,
and just made
what
it
we
work.
decided to do is because the reservoir usually sits off to the side for a GD pump. Dylan made a sick ass reservoir, so we're gonna have a ton more volume there, and it should help with cavitation, all sorts of other stuff.
Perfect. Good deal.
Yeah,
So-
so I'm in the middle of making a reservoir for it. I wanted to get the engine in and mostly together before getting too in depth with the reservoir. But if I stick with the current design I have, it's gonna hold probably like 3 quarts. So I do have
Deal.
a cooler that we can tie in line if we need it, but it's another one of those things where I want to get the data of the temperature of the fluid.
Before you put it in and add complexity. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Good deal.
More than
So I'm
likely,
hoping-
we're gonna end up going to like a Volvo pump or something, but we're really stoked about this. So this,
Yeah,
this should be.
I think this winter we'll probably start looking seriously at the electric pump setup.
Yep.
Obviously, when we have not a race in 2 weeks and an engine and a whole bunch of work to do to get ready, it allows for all these little things that kind of die off and then focus on the big stuff again. So now that the car isn't on fire, this off season is looking pretty promising. With being able to take the car even further than what it is now.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I'm hoping we can get some test days in too at like Summit or whatever, late season, maybe early next season. It would just be really cool to show up to Grid Life Midwest without a brand new car. Like something that's really sorted.
Yeah.
We go to festival ready for actual war. we'll see.
Yep. Well, so pit race is in 2 weeks. There's a small chance that I can make it. Just letting you know that I will try.
All right. Pit race is next week.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Week and a half from today. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right.
This time next week we will be at pit race testing.
Yes. We
So
actually bought the test day. Warranty, we
Fantastic.
bought the test day. We're going to be there the day before it starts to test.
Look at you. You are doing big things.
I'm so excited.
I'm really happy for you. That's going to be critical. Turns out it's not supposed to be that hard to win everything.
Yeah, we're going to try real hard to turn a decent lap and figure it out. So, try to hang with these rich kids with silly Supras.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Solid.
Yep. So, all right.
So what else we got on the agenda? Because I got to drop soon and go help my neighbor
pretty
that I
much
haven't
it.
met yet.
Any conversation you want to have about the community?
We said in one of our recent episodes that the memories are priceless. Totally agree. That's a good way to think about it because nobody's going to make money racing. But man, the stuff we've done is pretty darn cool. I'm sure we'll get into it more in future episodes. I think we just scratched the surface this time.
Yeah, and I really, that last episode when we talked about hard pills to swallow, I think a big thing that I wanted to get through, if you've only picked up a couple things from this podcast, one of the things I can't stress enough is do not do this because it makes financial sense. Don't do this. You should be doing this to make memories. Okay? If you want to modify these cars, you're doing it for your enjoyment and making memories. If it's not doing that for you, if you're in this for some other weird reason, you're probably in it for the wrong reasons and you're probably not going to have a good time.
Right. I've seen quite a few people modify their cars, run out of money, and then sell it. That's not making memories, so don't do that.
I have a couple of things that I have beat on throughout the series that I really want people to, if you've picked up certain things, these are the things I want you to hear. 1, time attack is hard. Okay, racing in general is hard. Time attack is very hard. 2, trust your tuner. If you got a question about something you want to do, weird modifications, whatever, have a conversation with your tuner. If you don't like your tuner, think about a different tuner. Your relationship with your tuner is very important. If you did not, there's no way you have listened to these episodes and not gained something from, not at least pulled something from that. Your relationship with your tuner matters a ton. It kind of flows into that, but also keep it simple. I know we're doing a bunch of complex shit, crazy shit with Boogie, but the simpler you keep it, the more fun you're going to have, the easier it is to figure stuff out with these vehicles. Keep it simple. Okay. The last one, and I beat on this 1,000 times, and please God, listen to me. You get the most juice for your squeeze with a 450 wheel horsepower STI. Okay? That's where you're getting the most juice for your squeeze. You want more than that? Prepare for consequences. You want less than that? I truly believe you're leaving a lot on the table. Just has to be done correctly. Most juice for your squeeze is 450 wheel. You heard it here for about the 50th time. So,
good deal.
Yeah.
One more caveat to that list.
What's that?
Is talk to the professionals. People that do this stuff day in, day out. I have a lot of friends or people I know that will ask me questions and then turn around and go ask people that the internet or hobbyists, and sometimes I can be wrong, but I see it way too often with other people too. Sometimes, it's not the answer that you want, but it is the answer that you need. And so definitely trust the professionals. We're here to help you. I'm not making any money off of you when I'm answering your question on Facebook at 10 p.m. at night.
Exactly.
So, and again, enjoy modifying your car or having a car, even if it's the simplest things to the most complex things. Just enjoy it. Find enjoyment in it. If you just want to tint your windows and put a set of wheels on it, that's all you got to do.
Yep.
Doesn't
You
take much
modify the
sometimes.
car for yourself, not other people. So
Yep.
that's I think that's kind of a show.
Sounds like a show.
That was fitty. I'm really that was really interesting. Like hearing your favorite episodes has been fun. Again, I wanna know what you guys' favorite episodes are. Okay, those who are listening, in the Spotify comments or even if it's just the Facebook comments, I want to know what your favorite episodes were. Okay, and what you liked about them, your favorite type of episode. And always we're listening for suggestions, but I want to hear it. I want to hear what your favorite episodes were. And yeah, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. And we'll see you for another 50 episodes where we are hopefully going to have some new and really sweet new equipment that's going to take me forever to figure out how to function correctly with, but it's going to be sick.
Oh,
And
no, it'll be fine.
I'm
Learn
working
it quick.
really hard. I promise those who are listening, I am working really, really hard at trying to get this YouTube. We may be having a separate YouTube channel from the IAG Performance channel just for the IAG Thursday thing that we're going to upload to YouTube. So you'll be able to pull straight from YouTube Music. And those with Android phones, adults, will be able to access that super easy then. But yeah, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. And we will see you guys next time.